Well, good morning, friends. I hope you're all having an absolutely wonderful May day. It's currently late May here in southern Pennsylvania. The sun is just rising. And last night I discovered some old photographs of the garden from 7 years ago, some from before I even started any work on the garden, and some from year 1 and 2. And so I thought, let's take a look around at the gardens. I'll try to stand in the location where these pictures are located so we can really kind of get a sense of before and after. And so I'm starting back here behind the raised beds and in front of the no-dig cut flower garden and my dahlia breeding experiment, my first year of breeding dahlias. And here's a photograph of what this area looked like the first year that we owned the property. We really didn't do much work on the property that first year because we were busy fixing the house. But you'll be able to see in that photograph some persimmon trees back here. Also, you might notice an oak and an evergreen tree. So all those trees needed to come down because I'll never forget when my husband leaned on one of the persimmon trees and it just fell over. My husband included. We didn't have Grace at that point. We did have the cats. But that's kind of an idea of what the property looked like from back here. So now let's take a look around the raised bed gardens. What I want to do moving forward is add those horn beams to the back corner to create a living arch. But I just love the trellises so much. I think that really just brings that nice room feel to this area. And so let's walk through and see what's blooming. We just cut all the Sweet William for the stand. The stand is set up again this morning. And we're about to get started on harvesting the ranunculus. Aviv Piketty Cafe is blooming now. And it's this wonderful blend of bronze and orange colors. A few accidental yellows are mixed in there, but that's okay. And then we also have the Aviv Piketty Pink White. And we'll be selling those ones at the flower stand. I'm not sure if I'm going to sell Aviv Cafe. I think I must have ordered those just for myself to arrange with because I don't really have anything back here to pair them with. But this Aviv Piketty Pink White is just so beautiful, isn't it? I'll be cutting these right after this video. This Cool Flowers quilt work bed has been such a delightful surprise. And the colors are just perfect for Memorial Day weekend. But let's go ahead and head over to the hydrangea room next. I think I have a picture of that area about 2 years into working on the gardens. So we can just walk through the raised bed area to get there. I don't think I'll edit this video too much this morning, just so we can really get a full sense of the space. The Coosa dogwoods have grown so much in 7 years. And hopefully by taking out a lot of those dead and diseased trees, and just by the pure fact that the trees were so overcrowded, that will really help them in the future. So I'll just stop here for 1 second. I know I have a photograph of what this exact area looked like when we purchased the house. The gentleman who had owned the house previous to us had been putting straw bales around the house. I'm not sure if that was for heat or what. So there's a bunch of trash cans, trash bags, and straw that you're seeing in that photograph. But I would say this is basically where that photo was taken from. And if we just go over here to the hydrangea room, I have a photograph, and I'm going to just put a heart or a smiley face over my daughter's face to maintain her privacy. But I have a photograph of when I first planted Invincible Spirit 2 hydrangea right here where the train's running. And so we can really see how much that has grown in about 6 or 7 years. Even though I don't love the color of Mount Everest alliums over in this garden, I do think I did a decent job of disguising the dying foliage. And that's one other thing I want to address in this video, areas where I did disguise the allium foliage and areas where I need to work on that and steps I'm taking to remedy that for future years. But the foliage here on Mount Everest allium is disguised by Orlea grandiflora, or commonly known as whitefinch Orlea is the cultivar there that I'm using. And this sensational honeysuckle, I know I mentioned this in a video just a few days ago, but it is absolutely amazing. So it's fun to see this area develop, and definitely putting in this area, I think, added so much to the garden. I'm really, really thankful to Plow and Hearth for being willing to send me these hummingbird arches. It was one of your ideas that I contact them. I'm kind of shy when it comes to contacting companies. I don't know, it makes me kind of uncomfortable. But one of you said, you know, why don't I just go ahead and write them? And they were very willing to send these out. And I'm super thankful because it's really just transformed the whole garden. I mean, this area did not exist when we were here. It was just present in my imagination. Of course, the apple tree was here, but that was it. That was the only tree that was here when we moved in. I'm still really undecided on the Mount Everest alliums. I think it depends on how the light hits them. This is the view that you would have if you were to drive by our property right now. This is the street view, the orchard's behind me. You know, I'm far back from the honeysuckle right now, and I can still smell it. It's just wonderful. So let's walk through Hummingbird Way. Even though there's not a lot in bloom right now over in this garden, I do think it helps that you're able to see the catmint over in the main flower walk. I want to bring in even more catmint to certain areas, but all in good time, right? And that's what I really want to accomplish in today's video, is just that thought and reminder to myself, honestly, all in good time. Don't rush it. Don't feel bad if it takes time to accomplish the picture that's in your mind. It will come in time. Right, Grace? I have to remind myself of that. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you feel like you're working, and you're not really accomplishing that picture that you have in your mind. But sometimes it helps to look back and remember where you started. So I really like this new stone rug, and I thought I would just share the reason why I don't have all the cracks filled with lamb's ear is because I really prefer to use only my grandma's lamb's ear here, and I need to wait until it cools down to divide it some more. I'm not sure if I said it already, but we're going to be getting into the 90s this week. Martagon lilies still yet to bloom, but I'm so excited to see that. First year being able to see the Martagon lilies. So for our next before picture, I do believe I have some photographs of what this area looked like from right over here when I first put in the steeplechase arborvitaes and the limelight and a few perennials. I think I have a picture of that maybe from our second year here, so I'll show that now. And as we walk through the main flower walk backwards, we have a lot of alliums in bloom. And I'm gonna switch directions so I can show you another photograph. So I'm pretty sure the photograph you're seeing is from 2017, when I was just starting on the borders and we had stuck some random vegetable boxes right in the middle of the yard. But this is kind of a similar view from where that photograph is taken. And you can see I've got some grass issues going on right now. I just seeded some more grass again. And I think I have some pictures of this area of the garden from before I put the trellising up and from when the Japanese cedar was first installed. So I can show you that now. So in a lot of ways, I feel like I have taken a step backward in the main flower walk this year because I've moved so many shrubs around in order to change the color palette and increase the repetition. And I think it's going to be another year until we really are able to see the picture that I have in my mind, because a lot of the shrubs have been set back, right, Grace? Especially the incredible hydrangeas in terms of size. So it will take a few years until we're really able to see my new vision come to life. Grace is so excited. What is it, Grace? Want to go get your bone? And I'll just show this Japanese cedar one more time because I know I do have some more pictures. Oh, Grace got her bone. I know I have some pictures of when I first installed that. And I'm pretty sure that was 2018. So this grew really, really quickly. Much quicker than the steeplechase arborvitaes, which are now at their mature height and width. So before we head over to the driveway garden, you can see why I need to reseed the grass in this area. Perfectly all right. Rather have Grace happy than grass. But before we head over to the driveway garden, where I feel like I did a decent job of disguising the allium foliage, I want to walk through this area slowly once to show you that I did not do a good job of disguising the dying allium foliage here. And I'm super, super thankful to Jung Seed Company. They sent me out a ton of new perennials for the garden, wonderful purples, peaches, and also pinky peaches. And I've been busy planting all of those in the main flower walk, not only to give us a nice succession of blooms, but to help remedy this problem that just naturally occurs with alliums, that their foliage is dying at the same time that they bloom. That's totally normal. So the first thing that I put in from Jung Seed, and thank you so much again, they were just so generous to send me all these plants. This is the Forever Purple Heuchera, because I want to bring in not only more purple blooms, but more purple foliage. And so I think I have about 7 or 8 plants here. And then I repeated that planting further down. It's kind of interesting because this main flower walk, you have herbaceous borders on both sides of you, but the side on the left is basically shade until about 4 o'clock. The side on the right is full sun from about 6:30 on. And you can see what that does too to the alliums. For instance, Pinball Wizard over here has almost completely lost its color, whereas Pinball Wizard on the other side is still a nice vibrant purple. I also placed these alliums probably too close to the front of the border. When I planted them, we didn't have this new extension of grass, so I think I was probably thinking to myself that I would plant some annuals here. But the longer that I garden in the main flower walk, I'd rather have a lot more perennials that are good for cutting and a lot less annuals, just so that there's a little less maintenance in this area. And so I put in a new Agastache right around the foliage here. It's a beautiful peach agastache, and I'll put a picture of it in bloom on the screen. So by next year, those should all grow together, come up at the same time, and hopefully disguise that allium foliage. Around these alliums, I put in cobalt blue delphinium. This is supposed to be a heat and humidity tolerant delphinium. So we'll put that to the test. So hopefully that will take care of that allium foliage. Here where I have ambassador mixed in with bupleurum and lilies and rue and sage, you're not seeing the dying foliage at all. So I was happy with that planting. But once again, when we hit these pinball wizards right in front of my flower lady, we're seeing the foliage again. So I came in here with some new foxgloves. We have Dalmatian peach foxglove and also Arctic rose foxglove. These are supposed to be perennial foxgloves that bloom the first year. So we'll put that to the test as well. So unfortunately, I really don't have a good picture of what the driveway garden looked like when we first moved in. I wish I could go back in time and remind myself to take the bad pictures, to take the before pictures. I just don't really have one that's true to what we saw when we moved in. But just imagine not being able to see anything but dead trees in this area. Basically, an old dead orchard would be the best way to describe it. So the photograph I do have of this area was when I believe we had already taken out the willows. We had a line of willows also that were way too close to our house. Very nervous about how close they were to some water lines. And once those came out, I started planting rows of cut sunflowers. And then I quickly abandoned that and started to develop this area as what I hope to be a park-like feel. So we have over here Orlea grandiflora, pinball wizard, we have some foxy foxglove, lots of lilies, and I want this to kind of be a bulb succession over in this garden. I want it to be as full as possible. I want it to have tons of flowers, but very, very, very low maintenance. And I think we're getting there, maybe a few more years. But the mistake I believe I made was that I did go ahead and cut the gladiator alliums once they turned green. And I got rid of all that nice height that was happening over here. And I do kind of regret that. But let me take us around this way because I want to show you a few beautiful moments that are happening in this garden. And I also want to show you Christophii allium, which I've never grown before and I'm just loving it. Here's Schubertii. You might remember that from previous years. It looks like this ginormous firework in the garden. But I love this beautiful moment here. And what I need to do is just increase this beautiful moment with more of the same. We've got the foxy foxglove, the Persian berry bearded iris, pinball wizard allium, white finch Orlea. We have some weigelas over here. But I think this is just so beautiful. But let me swing us around here slowly so that you can see Christophii. Let me know if you've grown Christophii. I think it's so beautiful. I have lots of baby plants over here suffering because we desperately need rain. That is Floret celosia there. But let's get a close-up on this Christophii, not fully open yet, but so amazing. So I thought that Schubertii couldn't be beat, but I think I actually like Christophii better. I like how it has these amazing stars at the tips. I'll give you a close-up on Schubertii. They really look quite different. And Christophii is blooming later than Schubertii for me here in 6B. You can see they're just really starting to open, but I love them so much. And for comparison, here's Schubertii. Well, friends, I hope it was fun to see some old pictures of how the garden looked when we first moved in. And I hope it's an encouragement to anyone that might need to hear it, that, you know, whenever you get discouraged, whenever you're making a garden and you feel like you're not making enough progress, you're not making the kind of progress that you want, perhaps look back and remember where you started. I know that really helps me. It helps motivate me to look back at some of these pictures when I get discouraged, when I feel like I'm not making the kind of progress I want to make. There's still all these holes everywhere, still so much more that I want to accomplish. To just remember to take a deep breath, enjoy the journey, and remember that it is about the journey. And it's about gardening as a verb rather than a noun. It's not about necessarily, for me at least, it's not so much about creating these picture perfect gardens. It's just about gardening and relishing all of the benefits that gardening brings to my life. Well, friends, I want to wish you a wonderful day out there in your gardens. And I just have to say once again, this sensational honeysuckle smells amazing. Definitely get your hands on one if you can. But I wish you a wonderful day out there in your gardens, and I hope we can all enjoy the journey of gardening together. Bye, friends. And look at this, friends. This is literally 3 seconds after I turned my camera off. I think my grandma came for a visit today.